Welcome to today's video about the B-29 Superfortress, a plane that soared through the skies. It left an indelible mark on history. From its groundbreaking design to its pivotal role in ending World War II, the B-29 remains a symbol of innovation and bravery. The story of this fascinating plane begins in the year 1940. In this year, Boeing designed the B-29, then still called Model 345. The U.S. Army Air Force received multiple other designs, including some from Douglas and Lockheed. In the end, the Air Force decided to go with the Model 345 over its competitors. This was justified by Boeing's experience of designing and building four-engine bombers. In August of 1940, the Air Force decided to order two prototypes. The first test flight took off in September 1942 with test pilot Eddie Allen. The entire design process of the B-29 cost $3 billion, which was even more expensive than the Manhattan Project. In total, nearly 4,000 B-29 were built over the course of the war. The B-29 was powered by four powerful Wright 3350-23 duplex Cyclone engines, each of them mounted onto the 141-foot wing. The four engines gave the plane 1645 kilowatts of thrust. They let it cruise at 358 miles per hour. This speed brought the plane up to an altitude of 33,600 feet. The B-29 had a maximum range of 6,847 miles. It also had a maximum takeoff weight of 124,000 pounds. Boeing's final design was 99 feet long and 30 feet high. All 11 men of the crew were in the front pressurized cabin with the pilots and the bombardier. From here, the gunners could remote control the turrets. The turrets had 20mm M2 machine guns. The pressurized cabin and turrets were advanced for that time. In its bomb bay, it was able to carry 12,000 pounds of bombs when flying at a lower altitude. The B-29 could carry a wide variety of bombs. Most of the time, the B-29 was equipped with 500-pound bombs. It was also able to carry atomic bombs, to which we will come back to later. Throughout 1942 and early 1943, the plan was to use the B-29 against Germany first and then transfer the bombers to the Pacific theater after the European conflict ended. However, by the end of 1943, production delays and strategic re-evaluations led to the B-29 being dedicated solely to the Pacific. At the direction of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, Operation Matterhorn was launched. This operation deployed B-29 units to attack Japan from forward bases in southern China and main bases in India. The Chengdu region in China was chosen for these bases to avoid the need to raise, equip, and train 50 Chinese divisions. They would have been for defense against Japanese ground attacks. B-29s began arriving in India in early April 1944. The first flight over the hump to Chinese airfields occurred on April 24, 1944. Just over a month later, on June 5, the B-29s flew their first combat mission, targeting railroad shops in Bangkok. This mission, which saw 77 out of 98 B-29s drop their payloads, marked the beginning of the B-29's combat role in the Pacific. Despite 5 bombers being lost, none were due to enemy fire. On June 15, 1944, 68 B-29s took off from Chengdu to bomb the Imperial Iron and Steel Works at Yoda in Japan. This marked the first bombing of Japanese home islands since the Doolittle Raid in 1942. The raid had limited success. Only one bomb hit the target, but it showed the B-29's reach and its potential impact on Japanese industry. Throughout mid-1944, B-29 raids on Japan continued from Chinese airfields, hitting various targets with increasing intensity. These missions included attacks on July 7, July 29, August 10, and more. The logistical challenges of operating from China led to a new strategy. The U.S. aimed to capture the Mariana Islands, which would bring all key Japanese targets within range of the B-29. By capturing Saipan, Guam, and Tinian, the U.S. established major air bases capable of launching sustained bombing campaigns against Japan. The first B-29 arrived on Saipan on October 12, 1944, with the first mission from the Marianas targeting Tokyo on November 24. This mission marked the start of relentless bombing raids on Japan. They included the devastating fire raid on Tokyo on March 9 to 10, 1945. This raid became the most destructive in history. The B-29s continued their assaults, targeting major Japanese cities and war industries, significantly crippling Japan's ability to sustain the war. The most famous missions of the B-29 were the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Modified B-29s, known as Silver Plate, were specially equipped to carry and drop these devastating weapons. The development of the atomic bomb, a top-secret project known as the Manhattan Project, culminated in the creation of two types of bombs: Little Boy, a uranium-based weapon, and Fat Man, a plutonium-based bomb. These bombs required significant modifications to the B-29 to accommodate their size and weight. On August 6, 1945, the Enola Gay dropped Little Boy on Hiroshima. On August 6, 1945, the Enola Gay, piloted by Colonel Paul Tibbets, took off from Tinian Island. The mission was to drop Little Boy on the city of Hiroshima. The bomb was released at 8:15 a.m., resulting in unprecedented destruction. The explosion obliterated much of Hiroshima, killing tens of thousands instantly and leading to countless more deaths from radiation exposure. 3 days later, on August 9, 1945, Bockscar, piloted by Major Charles W. Sweeney, took off with Fat Man on board. The original target, Kakura, was obscured by clouds, so the mission diverted to Nagasaki. At 11:02 a.m., Fat Man was dropped, also causing massive destruction. The bombing of Nagasaki resulted in immense loss of life and devastation. Combined with the earlier attack on Hiroshima, it prompted Japan's surrender on August 15, 1945, effectively ending World War II. After the war, B-29s were used for humanitarian missions, including dropping supplies to POW camps and setting new records for long-distance flights. The B-29 also found use during the Korean War. At first it followed the mission it was designed to do. After heavy losses against North Korean MiG-15s, their flights were limited to bombing at night and dropping supplies for soldiers on the ground. It was also redesigned and fitted to become one of the first air-to-air refueling planes in the newly formed U.S. Air Force. In its last few years of service, it did air-to-air refueling. It also did weather reconnaissance and air-sea rescue for the U.S. Coast Guard. The Superfortress still played a role in the early Cold War era, serving as a deterrent and symbol of American air power. The last B-29 was retired in 1965. Today there are only two B-29s still flying. The Fifi. It was manufactured in 1944. The only other B-29 is the DOC, also manufactured in 1944, and was retired in 1956. Both planes can still be seen in air shows all around the U.S. You also are able to buy tickets to fly in these historic planes. Some also give you the opportunity to admire the cockpit, which is way cheaper. Today, these magnificent aircraft are preserved in museums, serving as a tribute to the men and women who designed, built, and flew them. Their stories remind us of the sacrifices made and the relentless pursuit of peace. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating documentaries. Leave a comment below on what topics you'd like us to cover next. Until then, keep exploring the skies and the stories they hold. Stay tuned for more stories from the skies. This is Wings of History signing off.